Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. So today we are from group 2 that consists of 3 members. We present about our proposal on setting up a mini library at Kachi in Universiti Utara Malaysia UUM. So my name is Nurhuda Atiqah binti Rohazi, matric number 261673. I will start with introduction. Universiti Utara Malaysia was established in February 1984 and situated at a small town named Sintok. In UUM there is a Sultanah Bayah Library. This library was found in July 1984, which 5 months after establishment of UUM. Also, the library became a main place for the student to go there. Next, for the purpose of the proposal is to suggest the Chief Librarian of Sultanah Bayah Library, Mr. Salihuddin Mustafa, to set up the mini library at Kachi whereby for the scope of the proposal consists of the current situation, the problem faced by the student, the solution, benefit, implementation taken, and overall cost that needed to set up the mini library. Also, all this scope will discuss further after this. Besides, for sources of information, primary and secondary data were used. For primary data, interview session with the Deputy Chief Librarian Sultanah Bayah Library, Mr. Ismail, was conducted. Also, questionnaire was used to collect the data, whereby for the secondary data, website review was used to gain information about Universiti Utara Malaysia and Sultanah Bayah Library. Next, let's move on to the current situation. In this proposal that consists of 13 respondents, with 23 respondents or 76.7% were from Inasi Penrakyat, while 7 respondents or 23.3% for SME band. From the finding, the majority of the respondents are from female respondents, with 19 respondents or 63.3%, while male only 11 respondents or 36.6%. Also, the most of the respondents were from semester 5 with 21 respondents or 70%, semester 4 7 respondents or 23.3%, and the remaining with the same number of respondents with 1 respondent or 3.3% from semester 4 and semester 7. Moreover, 5 respondents or 16.7% go often to the library, 10 respondents or 33.3% go occasionally, and 15 respondents or 15% go sometimes to the library. From the finding, the most of the respondents, which are 20 respondents or 63.7%, spend at least 3 hours, 8 respondents or 26.6% spend 4 until 6 hours, and the remaining 2 respondents or 6.6 spend less than hour. Also, the majority of the respondents, which 17 respondents goes to the library from evening until night, 10 respondents go in the afternoon, and 9 respondents in the morning. While for the transportation used by the respondent, most of the respondents, which are 26 respondents, use bus to go to the library, while 7 respondents book kereta sapu and 5 respondents use own transport. Also, from the current situation of user time, students go to the library and transportation use, this data show that the respondent can choose more than one answer. For the problem faced by the student to go to the library, the data collected, there are 5 main problems. One of them is transportation problem, with 24 respondents state that they need to wait for the bus. Second is location, with 22 respondents respond that the location is too far. Third is punctuality problem, with 17 respondents respond that they have this problem. Fourth is cost, whereby 10 respondents respond to the issue. Lastly is safety problem, whereby 15 respondents respond to this statement. Also, from the data collected of problem faced by the student, the respondent can choose more than one answer. Next, we continue with need for action. For preference of the respondent to use the mini library at Kachi the majority of the respondent, with 28 respondents or 93.3 respondents, prefer to use mini library at Kachi because the location is very near, while only 2 respondents or 6.7% are not preferred to use the mini library. For necessity to set up a mini library, the majority of the respondents, which 28 respondents or 93.3%, think it is a necessity to set up the mini library due to the problem that has been mentioned before, while there are still 2 respondents or 6.7% state it is not necessary to set up the mini library. For an opinion of setting up of the mini library, the majority of the respondents, with 27 respondents or 90%, agree on opinion on setting up the mini library at Kachi while only 3 respondents or 10% are disagree. Next, moving on the effect of setting up the mini library at Kachi there is positive and negative effect. For positive effect, it will be convenient for the student. Second, it saves time because the student does not need wait for the bus. Third is the location is very near, so the student can just walk there. Fourth is it will give a quiet place for the student to study there. And lastly, it will save money because the student does not have to booking kereta sapu. For negative effect, it will be costly because it need a lot of money. Second, the management of UUM will face a security issue to ensure the book and the student safety are secure. Third is the limited sources of book where the mini library cannot provide all the book. The fourth is limited operating hour because the mini library will open from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. in weekday and 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. on weekend. And lastly, it will crowded with the student because the student will spend their time at the mini library rather than the main library. That's all from me. Now I would like to pass the presentation to my group member Elyana Atikah.
Hi, I am Elyana Atiqah binti Othmam. As the second presenter, would like to continue the presentation. First of all, I will start with the solution part, which is action to be taken. There are 7 actions for setting up a mini library. The first action is to get permission and consent from the Sultanah Bahiyah Library Management and Student Affairs Department, or more known as HEP. The Student Leadership and Development Committee by INASIS SME Bank and Bank Rakyat will send a proposal, and then these two bodies will conduct a discussion process and reach a decision. The second action is to find reading materials. The main source for setting up a mini library is to get the best reading materials. There are 2 methods to get the reading material, which is donation from the public and NGO. The third action is to find materials where the basic equipment for setting up a mini library such as desktop, bookshelf, chairs and tables. The fourth action is find the person in charge where these people will look at the operation, procedure and management of the mini library. Part-time students and a grade 19 librarian will be the person in charge. And the fifth action is setting up a mini library where the arrangement of the mini library. The sixth action is install the borrowing book system, where provide an efficient system for borrowing and returning book system. And the last action is to test and launch the mini library. Okay, now we move to the material. There are 9 material for setting up a mini library. The first is desktop, where to record the book system and inventories. The second is bookshelf, where to keep the book organized and arranged. The third is table. 4 chair, where this is the equipment or facilities provided for the students. Material number 5 is books, where it is a source for reading material. 6 is electrical appliance, which is air conditioner. Number 7 is reception counters, where the function is for official affairs such as returning and borrowing the book. Number 8 is dot matrix printers, and the last material for setting up a mini library is barcode scanner. Okay, now we move to the limitation for setting up a mini library. There are 3 limitations. The first is area. Area is the main thing to be considered and evaluated before setting up a mini library. Area at Bukit Kachi is limited, and there are no certain buildings suitable to set up a mini library. Besides that, there is an unused area at the 2nd floor Kachi Mall, but it is not suitable for setting up a mini library. The second limitation is cost. To set up a mini library, UUM management need to allocate a huge budget around 10,000 ringgit to buy the materials, and to pay the staff is higher the cost. And the last limitation is security system, where to ensure the safety of the mini library and the equipment. Invest more on security, such as by the CCTV. Okay, now we move to the benefit for setting up a mini library. There are 3 benefits. The first one is cost effective. Students from Bank Rakyat and SME Bank will save their money to get a transportation, such as Grab service on Kereta Sapu, if they miss the bus or there are no bus provided at that moment. The second benefit is convenience, where students is more easily to use the service and facilities that are provided in the mini library. And the students also can go anytime within the operating hours, and the problem to get the transportation will be solved immediately. And the last benefit is time saving. The students do not need to wait and board the bus at the scheduled time, and it can save time and make students punctual with the meeting and assignment. So that's all for me. Now I will pass to Miss Huda to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Elyana. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurhuda binti Azhar, metric number 261092, and I will proceed the presentation with implementation part. The first scope that I will cover is the persons who will be in charge throughout the operation and implementation of mini library at Kachi Mall. This report has outlined 5 tasks and the personnel in charge for each task distributed. The first task is the renovation of mini library. Mr. Muhammad Suhaili Rajab, the head of Contract Management and Material Surveying Unit of Jabatan Pembangunan dan Penyelenggaraan JPP-UEM, and his team will be in charge from designing, selecting contractors and materials, and also installment of related things. Next, the head of Electrical Engineering Unit of JPP-UEM, Engineer Razani Abdullah, will be in charge of installing electricity for the mini library. Furthermore, Mrs. Azni Idayu Shu'ib from Facilities Management Unit, Management Service Division of Sultanah Bahiyah Library, will take responsibilities in setting up the mini library. This covers from choosing the materials and facilities to be placed in the library. Moreover, the fourth task, which is the material arrangement, will be handled by Mrs. Rahima Azhar. She is from Collecting Management Unit of Sultanah Bahiyah Library, and all arrangements inside the mini library, such as tables, chairs and bookshelf, will be decided by her. Last but not least, it is proposed that Mrs. Zuraidah Darus, the head of Integrated Library System Unit, will administer the installation of borrowing book system and implement the best system or software to provide the students there. Now I will proceed with this work schedule. The purpose of having a work schedule is to ensure that all of the arrangements made are to be completed in the time allocated, which will take less than 5 months. The work schedule incorporates all the detailed actions and progress act by persons in charge, from the date of setting an appointment with the Chief Librarian at 27 October 2020 to the launch of the mini library at expected date of 2nd March 2021. The next scope is the cost of setting up a mini library. The Student Leadership and Development Committee of Inasis Bank Rakyat has prepared 3 proposals of budget with different amounts, and the first proposal have been selected among the best and the most affordable budget. The total amount is RM26,872 compared to other 2 suggested budget, which is higher and varies in terms of their supplier. The cost consists of 9 types of materials as well as renovations an installment for the setting up of the whole mini library. In a nutshell, it is proposed that the implementation of mini library at Kachi Mall UEM will bring a lot of benefits, especially to students from Inasis Bank Rakyat and Inasis SME Bank. Therefore, a mini library needs to be set up due to several problems and raised by students. The issues of transportation, punctuality and safety will be solved immediately. The mini library also will bring convenience to students in terms of its operating hours, cost effective and time saving. Immediate action must be taken by collaborating with Sultanah Bahiyah Library and Students Affairs Department (HEP) to solve this prolonged matter. Hence, with this comprehensive proposal, it is hoped that the suggestion of setting up a mini library, which will be heard by the Chief Librarian of Sultanah Bahiyah Library and Upper Management of Universiti Utara Malaysia. The following are the visual aids included for the process of making the proposal. This is the area and location of Kachi Mall at Bukit Kachi. The main library of Universiti Utara Malaysia, Sultanah Bahiyah Library. And lastly, the online interview held via Cisco Webex with Deputy Chief Librarian, Mr. Razak Siamin. That's all from our group. Thank you.